Sev Omnis, and in this video we'll explain the second level of the iceberg of conspiracy theories. For those who first learned about this format, I explain. This is a format of pictures in which the facts are divided into parts. From above, facts that everyone knows, as well as those who are not particularly interested in this or that topic. In the lower part, these are facts that authors and developers and fans of this or that topic know before they became famous. Ice wall. People often link the idea of an ice wall to flat Earth beliefs when talking about the Earth as a flat, disc-like surface rather than a sphere. This theory claims a huge, unbeatable wall of ice circles the Earth. It's thought to serve as a border stopping the oceans from flowing over the edge. Let's take a closer look at this theory. Origin and belief in the ice wall. Flat Earth model. The ice wall plays a key role in the current flat Earth theory, which claims the Earth is a flat disk instead of a sphere. People who believe in a flat Earth often call the ice wall the Antarctic ice wall or the Great Ice Wall. These believers say the wall sits at the outer edges of the flat Earth surface. Antarctica. This theory suggests Antarctica isn't a landmass at the South Pole, unlike what regular maps show. Instead, it sees Antarctica as a huge ice sheet that goes around the edge of the flat Earth. People who believe this say the ice wall stands hundreds or thousands of feet tall. They think it stops anything, water or ships, from falling off the edge. Criticism and refutation. Scientific consensus. The concept of an ice wall is not backed by any scientific evidence. Modern research, particularly satellite imaging and space exploration, has shown that the Earth is an oblate spheroid. Antarctica is a continent in the South Pole, not a perimeter wall. Satellite imagery. The assertions of flat Earth theorists on the ice wall are refuted by several satellite photos and movies that depict the Earth as a round planet. Additionally, scientific expeditions have mapped Antarctica extensively, revealing its topographical features, which do not include a massive ice wall enclosing the planet. Logistical issues. The ice wall theory faces many practical difficulties. Critics contend that it is unrealistic to expect a massive, well-coordinated worldwide conspiracy including governments, scientists, and space agencies to support the assertion that the ice wall covers the entire Earth's perimeter and is concealed from the general public. Connection to other conspiracy theories. Cultural impact. The notion that Antarctica is the site of covert research or exploration is further supported by the thought that ancient civilizations or alien bases may be concealed there. The Earth is a flat disk encircled by an unbreakable wall of ice, according to the flat Earth theory, which includes the ice wall as a fundamental element. In some conspiracy theory circles, this belief is still held even though scientists and the general public have disproved it extensively. The concept stems from the premise that the actual form of the Earth is being concealed globally, with Antarctica serving as the physical barrier to keep the truth from coming to light. Nevertheless, there is no scientific proof that such a wall exists. Astral plane. The astral plane is a concept that originates from various mystical, spiritual, and occult traditions, representing a realm or level of existence that is separate from the physical world we experience. It is often described as a plane of reality that can be accessed during certain altered states of consciousness, such as during dreams, meditation, or out-of-body experiences (OBS). Here's a deeper exploration of the astral plane. Origins and historical context. Occult and mystical traditions. The concept of the astral plane appears in many ancient spiritual and mystical systems. It exists in Hinduism, Buddhism, Theosophy, Hermeticism, and other esoteric traditions, and is frequently defined as a non-physical or spiritual realm. Theosophy. The Theosophical Society, created in the late 19th century, helped popularize the concept of the astral plane in the West. Theosophists such as Helena Blavatsky and Annie Besant expanded on the concept, describing numerous planes of existence, including the astral plane. According to Theosophy, the astral plane is located just above the physical world and serves as a bridge to higher realms of existence. Western occultism. In Western esoteric traditions, particularly Hermeticism and Western magic, the astral plane is frequently considered a location where individuals can travel spiritually and engage with spiritual entities, guides, or other worldly beings. Description of the astral plane. Non-physical realm. The astral plane is commonly seen as a non-physical, spiritual dimension apart from the material world we live in. While it is considered a location of existence, it is not made up of matter as we know it. Instead, it is composed of energy, consciousness, and thought. Levels or layers. Many belief systems believe that the astral plane is divided into levels or layers, each representing a particular facet of reality or awareness. These levels span from the lower astral plane, which is closest to our earthly experience, to higher, more refined planes linked with enlightenment and spiritual awakening. Dreams and astral projection. The astral plane is frequently associated with dreams in which the soul or consciousness escapes the body and explores another domain. Astral projection, also known as an out-of-body experience, or OBE, is the conscious act of leaving one's physical body and traveling across the astral plane. It is frequently described as a vivid, lucid experience in which one can move freely in a non-physical form. Key features of the astral plane. Travel and exploration. In many cultures, the astral plane is seen as a location that only select people may visit, usually through meditation, spiritual activities, or deep relaxation. The concept of astral travel suggests that the soul or awareness can roam around this domain, exploring landscapes and interacting with various creatures, both beneficial and harmful. Spiritual entities. In many civilizations, the astral plane is seen as a place that only a select few people can enter, typically through meditation, spiritual activity, or deep relaxation. The concept of astral travel implies that the soul or awareness can move around this domain, exploring landscapes and interacting with various animals, both useful and malevolent. Symbols and archetypes. The astral plane is frequently described as a domain of symbols, images, and archetypes, all of which symbolize components of the mind and spirit. Depending on their level of consciousness, personal growth, or spiritual journey, travelers may see these symbols in a variety of ways. Astral projection and out-of-body experiences. OBS. OBS, out-of-body experiences, are similar to astral projection in that the individual believes themselves leaving their physical body and existing as a non-physical being in another realm. OBS can occur naturally during near-death experiences, or as a result of specific practices such as meditation and deep relaxation techniques. Some people have had vivid experiences of traveling across other realms, including the astral plane, during OBS. Astral plane in popular culture. Fantasy and science fiction. The concept of the astral plane has been widely adopted and explored in different forms of media, such as literature, movies, and video games. In many fantasy novels, characters employ astral projection to travel to faraway worlds, fight demons, and communicate with magical creatures. The astral plane is frequently portrayed as a mystical, dreamy realm where reality is malleable and everything is conceivable. Occult literature. Many works on occultism, mysticism, and New Age spirituality examine the practices and experiences linked with the astral plane, including instructions on how to achieve astral projection and explore this domain. Authors such as Robert Monroe, who popularized the term out-of-body experience in the 1970s, investigate the idea of astral travel and its relevance. Skepticism and criticism. Lack of empirical evidence. The astral plane concept and methods such as astral projection have not been scientifically confirmed. Skeptics contend that these experiences are more likely caused by lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis, or altered states of consciousness, rather than the soul traveling to another planet. Psychological explanations. Some psychologists and neuroscientists describe astral projection as a type of vivid dreaming or dissociative experience in which the mind perceives itself as separate from the body. These experiences can seem extremely real, although they could be the product of brain activity during sleep or profound relaxation. Astral plane in different traditions. Hinduism and Buddhism. There are multiple levels or locus of existence in Hinduism and Buddhism. These worlds are similar to the astral plane in that they reflect non-physical areas where diverse forms of consciousness live. Meditation and spiritual activities are said to enable people to travel between these worlds. Shamanism. Many indigenous shamanic traditions employ beliefs comparable to the astral plane, in which shamans or spiritual practitioners enter altered states of consciousness to travel across many spiritual realms. These worlds are thought to be inhabited by spirit guides, ancestors, and other worldly entities capable of providing wisdom or healing. Conclusion. The astral plane is a complex and diverse notion that appears in many spiritual, mystical, and occult traditions. It is frequently viewed as a non-physical world of existence that can be reached through altered states of consciousness such as meditation, dreams, or astral projection. While there is no scientific evidence to substantiate the existence of the astral plane, it remains an important component of many spiritual practices and continues to captivate individuals who are interested in the mysteries of consciousness and the nature of reality. The astral plane, whether viewed as a metaphorical area for inner investigation or a tangible region that may be traversed, is a rich and perplexing concept for searchers of spiritual knowledge. Theosophy. Theosophy is a philosophical and spiritual movement that strives to investigate the nature of God, the cosmos, and humanity's place within it. It draws on religion, philosophy, mysticism, and esotericism with a focus on acquiring heavenly understanding via personal experience and study. Here is a full breakdown of Theosophy. Origins and history. Founded in the 19th century, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky and Henry Steele Olcott were chiefly responsible for establishing Theosophy as a formal movement in the late 19th century. They created the Theosophical Society in New York City in 1875 to study spiritual truths, integrate science, religion, and philosophy, and promote the concept of universal brotherhood, core beliefs, and teachings. Theosophy combines components from many different world religions, emphasizing the unity of all spiritual teachings. Some of its primary beliefs include 1. Divine wisdom and universal truth. According to Theosophy, all religions and ideologies are based on universal divine wisdom. This wisdom, known as the Theosophical truth or the ancient wisdom, transcends any particular theological system. The premise is that all religions contain basic truths about the nature of God, humanity, and the cosmos that have been interpreted in various ways by different cultures throughout history. 2. Reincarnation and karma. One of the main ideas of Theosophy is the belief in reincarnation, which holds that the soul is reborn in many physical bodies over multiple incarnations. Reincarnation allows individuals to grow and evolve spiritually, gradually moving towards perfection. Karma, or the law of cause and consequence, is also important to Theosophy. It implies that every action, thought, and speech has implications in both this life and the next. Good deeds result in positive outcomes, while negative actions cause misery in this life or future incarnations. Spiritual evolution. Theosophy holds that humans are in the process of spiritual evolution and that the purpose of existence is to acquire spiritual enlightenment or emancipation. This is accomplished via personal development, self-control, and the cultivation of virtues like compassion, wisdom, and humility.
According to Theosophists, the human soul progresses through numerous phases until merging with divine consciousness or enlightenment.
4. Esoteric knowledge and occultism. Theosophy emphasizes the study of esoteric knowledge or the understanding of hidden or inner spiritual truths that are not widely available to the general population. Meditation, introspection, the study of religious books, and personal experience can all help you get this wisdom. Theosophy also teaches about occult practices including telepathy, clairvoyance, and extrasensory perception. These skills are regarded as natural but frequently dormant in humans and can be developed via spiritual effort. 5. The seven rays. The notion of the seven rays is central to Theosophy's teachings on spiritual development. This theory states that each person is impacted by one of the seven rays, which represent various qualities or attributes. These rays are supposed to correspond to divine energies that direct and form a person's spiritual journey. 6. The three fundamental principles. Theosophy proposes three key principles. There is no religion higher than truth. There is an underlying unity in all life. Human beings are capable of achieving divine wisdom and enlightenment. Key figures in Theosophy. Blavatsky and Olcott. As mentioned, these two individuals were the primary founders of the Theosophical Society. Blavatsky's writings and Olcott's organizational efforts were instrumental in shaping the movement. Annie Besant. After Blavatsky died in 1891, Annie Besant, an English social reformer, took over as leader of the Theosophical Society. Besant made enormous contributions to the spread of Theosophy, particularly in India, and was instrumental in integrating Theosophy with Hinduism and supporting Indian spiritual traditions. C.W. Leadbeater, a famous theosophist who collaborated with Besant, was recognized for his occult publications as well as his controversial work on clairvoyance and astral projection. Theosophy and other religions. Hinduism and Buddhism. Theosophy leans significantly on Eastern faiths, primarily Hinduism and Buddhism, incorporating ideas like rebirth, karma, and spiritual progress. However, it understands these concepts in a broader, more universal framework. Western occultism, astrology, alchemy, and mysticism are among the Western occult traditions that are incorporated within Theosophy. It focuses on the pursuit of hidden knowledge and the cultivation of personal spiritual force. Christianity. While Theosophy advocates a global spirituality, it frequently criticizes conventional Christianity for its dogma and materialism. However, Theosophical thinkers contend that the teachings of Jesus, when read esoterically, are in line with Theosophical principles. Theosophy and the modern New Age movement. Influence on New Age thought. Theosophy influenced the 20th century New Age movement significantly. Many New Age notions, including meditation, holistic healing, channeling, and belief in alien creatures and higher dimensions, have their origins in Theosophical teachings. Esoteric Christianity. Theosophy also had an impact on the creation of esoteric Christianity, which emphasizes the mystical and hidden components of Christian heritage over the dogmatic or institutional elements. Theosophy's influence on popular culture. Literature and art. Theosophy had an impact on early 20th century literature and art, particularly through the works of W.B. Yeats, Aldous Huxley, and Catherine Mansfield, who were affected by Theosophical beliefs about spirituality and evolution. Theosophy and the occult revival. The Theosophical Society is widely recognized for reviving interest in the occult in the late 19th and early 20th century. It helped to establish esoteric schools and institutions, such as Freemasonry and other mystical organizations. Criticism and controversy. Scientific and rationalist criticism. Critics, particularly those in the scientific world, frequently regard Theosophy as pseudoscience due to its emphasis on mystical beliefs and lack of factual evidence. Its teachings on the astral realm, rebirth, and occult abilities are frequently regarded as unprovable. Cultural appropriation. Some detractors contend that Theosophy, particularly through its Western viewpoint, appropriates and distorts components of Eastern religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. Theosophy's integration of ancient traditions with Western esotericism has prompted worries about misunderstanding or oversimplification. Cultural appropriation. Some detractors contend that Theosophy, particularly through its Western viewpoint, appropriates and distorts components of Eastern religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. Theosophy's integration of ancient traditions with Western esotericism has prompted worries about misunderstanding or oversimplification. 4. Alchemy. Alchemy is an ancient philosophical and proto-scientific tradition that aims to transform base materials into more valuable ones, particularly the pursuit of turning base metals into gold and to discover the Philosopher's Stone, which was believed to grant eternal life or spiritual enlightenment. Alchemy is often considered a precursor to modern chemistry, though it involves much more than just material transformation. It is a complex, symbolic system that incorporates elements of mysticism, spirituality, philosophy, and early science. Here's a comprehensive overview. Historical origins and development. Ancient roots. Alchemy traces its origins back to ancient Egypt and Greco-Roman Egypt, particularly to Alexandria, a center of intellectual and cultural exchange. The term alchemy itself is derived from the Arabic word alchemia, which comes from the Greek word chymia, meaning the art of transmutation. Egyptian and Hellenistic influence. Alchemical traditions were heavily influenced by Egyptian metallurgy, Egyptian religious thought, and the philosophical ideas of the Greeks, such as those of Plato and Aristotle. Islamic Golden Age. During the Islamic Golden Age, 8th to 14th centuries, alchemy flourished, with scholars like Jabir ibn Hayyan Geber contributing significant works. Many of the techniques and ideas of alchemy were preserved and expanded upon by Islamic scholars. Alchemy in Europe. In medieval and Renaissance Europe, alchemy became particularly associated with mysticism and the search for spiritual enlightenment. It spread through the efforts of scholars, Hermetic traditions, and a growing interest in the occult. It was practiced in secret and was often connected to religious or spiritual goals, such as the quest for immortality or divine knowledge. The goals of alchemy. Alchemy had two primary goals: the transmutation of materials and the spiritual transformation of the alchemist. 1. Material transformation. Turning base metals into gold. The most famous goal of alchemy was the transmutation of base metals, such as lead, into gold. This is often considered a metaphor for spiritual transformation, but alchemists also sought to create wealth and material abundance. The Philosopher's Stone. The Philosopher's Stone was a legendary substance that alchemists believed could not only transmute base metals into gold, but also grant immortality or eternal youth. It was often considered a symbol of spiritual perfection and enlightenment. The pursuit of the stone was central to alchemical tradition. Elixir of life. Closely related to the Philosopher's Stone was the search for the elixir of life, which was believed to grant immortality and health. Alchemists viewed the quest for the elixir as an allegory for the alchemical process of spiritual purification. 2. Spiritual transformation, purification of the soul. Alchemy is often described as a process of self-purification and spiritual ascension. Just as alchemists sought to purify base metals into gold, they believed they could purify their souls and attain enlightenment or divine wisdom. The magnum opus, the great work or magnum opus, is a central concept in alchemy. It represents the entire process of spiritual and material transformation and is often symbolized by 4 stages. 1. Negredo blackening. The first stage symbolizes death, decay, and the dissolution of the old self. 2. Albedo whitening. The stage of purification and enlightenment symbolizes rebirth. 3. Citronitis yellowing. The stage where spiritual insight is gained symbolizes the development of the soul. 4. Rubedo reddening. The final stage represents the completion of the transformation and the achievement of spiritual perfection, or the Philosopher's Stone. Alchemy's symbolism and language. Alchemy is known for its rich symbolic language, and alchemists often used complex metaphors and symbols to describe their processes. Some of the most common symbols in alchemical texts include the Ouroboros. A serpent eats its tail, symbolizing the cyclical nature of existence, life, death, and rebirth. The 4 elements. Alchemists believed that everything was composed of 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water, which played a key role in the alchemical process of transformation. The triad. Alchemists often referred to the 3 principles: salt, sulfur, and mercury, which represented different aspects of the material world and were believed to be the building blocks of all substances. The Philosopher's Stone, often depicted as a red or gold object, symbolizing completion and perfection. Notable alchemists and contributions: Hermes Trismegistus. a mythical figure often associated with the origins of alchemy, attributed to a series of writings known as the Hermetic Corpus. These texts blended Greek and Egyptian thought and were foundational to Western alchemical philosophy. Paracelsus, a Swiss physician and alchemist of the Renaissance, Paracelsus is often credited with laying the groundwork for modern chemistry and medicine. He emphasized the use of minerals and chemicals in medicine and the importance of the mind-body connection. Nicolas Flamel, a French scribe and alchemist, Flamel is famous for his alleged discovery of the Philosopher's Stone. While much of his legacy has been mythologized, he remains a significant figure in the alchemical tradition. Alchemy is often considered the precursor to modern chemistry, and many of the techniques developed by alchemists contributed to the formation of the scientific method. However, alchemy's focus on mysticism and spirituality prevented it from being recognized as a true science until the 17th century, when Robert Boyle and others began to move away from the spiritual aspects and towards empirical experimentation. Despite this, alchemists' work laid the foundation for the discovery of elements, the development of laboratory techniques, and the formulation of chemical laws. Alchemy in popular culture. Alchemy continues to hold a prominent place in modern occultism and esotericism and is often portrayed in literature, movies, and video games. Harry Potter. Alchemy plays a key role in the Harry Potter series, with characters like Nicolas Flamel and the Philosopher's Stone central to the plot. Fullmetal Alchemist, a popular anime and manga series where alchemy is depicted as a powerful and complex science with spiritual consequences. As I recall, there is also about Edward's relationship with Alphonse. Da Vinci Code. The mystery and allure of alchemy feature prominently in books and movies like The Da Vinci Code, where alchemists' pursuit of secret knowledge plays a central role. The Matrix. The concept of transformation and enlightenment in alchemy is sometimes referenced in films like The Matrix, where characters experience awakening and transcendence. Criticism and decline. Rejection by modern science. Modern science generally views alchemy as a pseudoscience. Its symbolic and mystical elements do not conform to the empirical methods and logic of modern scientific inquiry. Deeper meaning. Critics also point out that many alchemical works were highly cryptic, making it difficult to separate the symbolic and metaphorical from the literal. However, some interpret the alchemical process as a representation of psychological or spiritual growth rather than literal chemical transformation. Persecution of alchemists. In some parts of history, alchemists were viewed with suspicion and faced persecution, especially during the Inquisition. Their practices were often associated with witchcraft, heresy, and forbidden knowledge. Conclusion. Alchemy was much more than just the quest for gold. It was a profound philosophical, spiritual, and practical system that sought to understand the very nature of existence, the material world, and the divine. Even though alchemy is no longer practiced in its original form, its legacy continues to influence modern thought, especially in the areas of psychology, spirituality, and the history of science. Alchemical symbolism and philosophy remain rich fields of exploration for those interested in the mysticism and deeper aspects of human existence. Vampires. Vampires are legendary creatures often depicted in folklore, literature, and media as beings that survive by feeding on the blood of the living. The concept of the vampire has evolved, and while specific traits can vary, common characteristics include immortality, supernatural abilities, and an insatiable thirst for blood. The vampire myth has had a significant influence on popular culture, and its themes often explore issues of morality, life, death, and the nature of human desire. Origins and folklore. The concept of vampires can be traced back to ancient civilizations, but the modern vampire myth emerged in Eastern Europe during the 17th and 18th centuries. Different cultures have their variations of vampiric creatures, though they share common traits, such as an association with death, darkness, and the fear of the supernatural. Early vampire beliefs. Ancient Mesopotamia. The earliest known vampire-like creature is the Ikimu from Sumerian and Akkadian myths, which were spirits of the dead that would cause illness or death to the living. Ancient Greece and Rome. The Greeks and Romans had various legends of creatures similar to vampires, such as the Impusa, a shape-shifting demon, or the Lamia, a female monster who would drink the blood of children. Slavic folklore. The modern image of the vampire largely derives from Slavic folklore, particularly from Romania, Serbia, and Bulgaria. In these cultures, belief in vampires was widespread during the Middle Ages. The Strigoin Romanian folklore, or Nosferatu, a term popularized by films, were seen as spirits or reanimated corpses that would rise from their graves to suck the blood of the living. The vampire panic, 18th century. In Eastern Europe during the 18th century, vampire legends took a more fearful and specific form. There were numerous reports of suspected vampires, often after outbreaks of disease, particularly plague or tuberculosis. Communities would dig up graves to check for signs of vampirism, such as a corpse with fresh blood in its mouth, and they would sometimes stake the body or decapitate it to prevent it from rising again. Characteristics of vampires. While various vampire myths have different interpretations, there are several key features that are commonly attributed to vampires, especially in Western pop culture. 1. Immortality. Vampires are typically immortal, meaning they do not age and cannot die from natural causes. This immortality is often attributed to drinking the blood of the living, which is said to sustain their life force and prevent decay. 2. Bloodsucking. Vampires are most famously known for their need to drink human or animal blood. The act of blood drinking is usually portrayed as necessary for their survival and a source of power. It is also often symbolic of a parasitic relationship where the vampire takes life from others to maintain its own. 3. Supernatural abilities. Vampires are frequently depicted with a range of supernatural powers. Superhuman strength and speed. Vampires are often stronger and faster than humans, allowing them to overpower their prey or escape from danger quickly. Shape-shifting. Many vampires can transform into bats, wolves, or mist, evade detection, or travel long distances. Hypnotism or mind control. Vampires may possess the ability to control the minds of humans, often using this power to compel them to offer themselves as prey or to prevent them from revealing the vampire's existence. Regeneration. Vampires can usually heal quickly from injuries and do not suffer from the physical ailments that affect humans. 4. Vulnerability. Despite their supernatural powers, vampires are often depicted as vulnerable to certain things. Sunlight. Exposure to sunlight is often fatal to vampires, turning them to ash or weakening them. This vulnerability symbolizes their connection to the night and darkness. Wooden stakes. A wooden stake through the heart is a classic method of killing a vampire, often said to immobilize or destroy them permanently. Holy objects. Religious symbols like crosses, holy water, and church bells are often believed to repel vampires due to their association with purity and goodness. Garlic. Garlic is also commonly used in folklore to ward off vampires due to its strong odor, which is said to drive them away. Modern depictions of vampires. The portrayal of vampires has undergone significant changes over the centuries, especially in literature and popular culture. From fearsome, bloodthirsty monsters to romanticized antiheroes, the vampire archetype has been reshaped in countless ways. Literary roots. Dracula, 1897. The most famous and influential work on the modern vampire myth is Bram Stoker's Dracula. The novel popularized many of the vampire traits we associate with them today: the pale complexion, fear of sunlight, the ability to hypnotize, and the thirst for blood. Count Dracula, the titular vampire, is both a horrific predator and a tragic figure. Other influential works. After Dracula, several other works helped shape the vampire genre, including John Polidori's The Vampire, 1819, which introduced the idea of the aristocratic, charming vampire. And in Rice's The Vampire Chronicles, 1976 to 2003, which presented vampires as complex, introspective beings struggling with their morality and immortality. Modern popular culture, film and television. The image of the vampire became even more prominent in films and television. Early films such as Nosferatu 1922 and Dracula 1931 helped solidify the terrifying, monstrous vampire image. Later, films like Interview with the Vampire 1994 and Blade 1998 presented vampires as more complex or heroic characters. The Twilight Saga brought a shift toward the portrayal of vampires as romantic figures, with the vampire protagonist, Edward Cullen, being portrayed as a handsome, brooding figure who struggles with his bloodlust. The television series Buffy the Vampire Slayer 1997 to 2003 and True Blood 2008 to 2014 helped popularize the trope of vampires as multidimensional characters, with themes of identity, freedom, and morality. Vampires as metaphors. Vampires have also served as a metaphor for various social, psychological, and existential issues. Some of the common themes include immortality and the fear of death. Vampires' immortality is often explored as a curse, showing the isolation and emotional toll of eternal life. Sexuality. The act of blood drinking is frequently depicted as an intimate, sometimes sexual, act. In this sense, vampires often serve as symbols of forbidden desire, lust, or power, the outsider. Vampires often represent the marginalized or the outsider, reflecting themes of alienation, otherness, and societal rejection. Vampires in modern belief and occultism. Beyond fiction, there are small communities and subcultures where some people claim to believe in vampires or practice modern-day vampirism. These individuals may engage in the ritualized drinking of blood or claim to possess vampiric abilities. Such beliefs often intersect with various occult practices and modern-day spiritualism. Vampire subcultures. Groups such as sanguinarians, who believe they require blood for sustenance, or psychic vampires, who claim to drain others' life force or energy, are part of a larger subculture of real vampires. These groups do not necessarily believe in the traditional supernatural powers of vampires, but instead adopt aspects of the myth into their lifestyles. Conclusion. Vampires have evolved from fearsome folklore figures into complex symbols of human desires, fears, and moral dilemmas. While they were once seen as terrifying, supernatural monsters, vampires are now often depicted as tragic antiheroes or romantic figures. This transformation has made vampires one of the most enduring and versatile archetypes in literature, film, and popular culture, reflecting our ongoing fascination with life, death, and the supernatural. Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley was an English occultist, magician, poet, and philosopher, best known for founding the religion of Thelema and his controversial, larger-than-life persona. Often referred to as the wickedest man in the world by the press during his lifetime, Crowley's life and works continue to influence modern occultism, esotericism, and alternative spirituality. Early life and background. Aleister Crowley was born Edward Alexander Crowley in 1875 in Leamington Spa, England, into a wealthy and religiously strict family. His father, a wealthy brewer, was a devout Christian who believed in the strict interpretation of the Bible. Crowley's mother, known for her devout religious views, raised him in a deeply Protestant environment, which he later rejected. At a young age, Crowley began to rebel against the religious constraints imposed by his parents. He attended Harrow School, an elite British boarding school, and later Trinity College, Cambridge, where he began to delve into poetry, philosophy, and various forms of mysticism and occultism. Involvement in occultism. Crowley's interest in the occult started during his time at Cambridge when he was introduced to ceremonial magic and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a secret society that combined elements of Kabbalah, astrology, alchemy, and other esoteric practices. Crowley's entry into the Golden Dawn was marked by his ambitious nature, his hunger for knowledge, and his desire for spiritual power, though he had conflicts with other members, including fellow occultist W.B. Yeats. Involvement in occultism. Crowley's interest in the occult started during his time at Cambridge when he was introduced to ceremonial magic and the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a secret society that combined elements of Kabbalah, astrology, alchemy, and other esoteric practices. Crowley's entry into the Golden Dawn was marked by his ambitious nature, his hunger for knowledge, and his desire for spiritual power, though he had conflicts with other members, including fellow occultist W.B. Yeats. During his time in the Golden Dawn, Crowley was particularly interested in magic with a K to distinguish it from stage magic, which he defined as the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with the will. He became known for his intense dedication to his occult practices, as well as his desire to challenge established norms and traditions. Creation of Thelema and the Law of Thelema. Crowley's most enduring contribution to occultism was the creation of Thelema, a spiritual philosophy that emphasized the importance of individual will and the pursuit of one's true self. Crowley believed that the ultimate goal of human life was the discovery and fulfillment of the true will, a concept that referred to a person's true purpose or mission in life, which could only be realized through self-awareness and alignment with the divine. Crowley famously declared, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," which became the central tenet of Thelemic philosophy. This phrase is often misunderstood as advocating for hedonism or selfishness, but Crowley explained that it meant individuals should seek their true path in life and follow it, regardless of societal constraints. Thelemic philosophy was also rooted in the idea of the holy guardian angel, a spiritual entity that Crowley believed would help guide practitioners toward their true will. He also believed that magic, rituals, and mysticism were ways to connect with higher spiritual realms. In 1904, while staying in Cairo, Crowley claimed to have received a revelation from an entity called Iwas, who dictated the Book of the Law to him. This book became the foundational text of Thelema, and its core teachings emphasized individual sovereignty, spiritual liberation, and the rejection of traditional religious structures. Thelemic practices and teachings. Crowley's Thelemic practices combined elements of various mystical traditions, including Eastern philosophy, Western ceremonial magic, Kabbalah, alchemy, astrology, and Sufism. Key practices in Thelemic rituals included: 1. Magic rituals. Crowley adapted and designed rituals that were meant to help practitioners align with their true will. These rituals could involve meditation, invocations of deities or spirits, and the use of symbols and magical tools like wands, swords, and chalices. 2. Sex magic. Crowley believed that sexual energy could be harnessed for magical and spiritual purposes, and he promoted the use of sex magic *** as a powerful tool for spiritual transformation. He emphasized the idea of sacred sexuality and believed that sexual acts could be a means of connecting with divine forces. 3. The tarot and divination. Crowley reworked the traditional tarot deck and created his own, known as the Thoth Tarot, which is still used by practitioners of modern occultism. The deck incorporated symbols and imagery from astrology, alchemy, and mysticism. 4. Astral projection. Crowley practiced and taught methods of astral travel, in which a person's consciousness is believed to leave the physical body and explore other realms or planes of existence. He also practiced remote viewing and other psychic abilities. The Abbey of Thelema. In the early 1920s, Crowley moved to Italy and founded the Abbey of Thelema in Ceccano, where he lived with a group of disciples. The abbey became a center for Crowley's teachings, but it also became notorious for its unconventional lifestyle, which included rituals, drug use, and sexual freedom. The community lasted only a few years, and it was eventually disbanded after a series of scandals and local opposition. Crowley's reputation as a satanic figure was solidified during this period. Later life and legacy. Crowley's later years were marked by poverty, health problems, and increasing isolation. Despite his declining fortunes, his influence continued to grow. He wrote numerous books on magic, mysticism, and philosophy, and his teachings gained followers in various occult groups and secret societies. Crowley's influence was particularly strong on modern occultism, and his work has inspired many notable figures in the fields of mysticism, psychology, and alternative spirituality, including Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, and Kenneth Anger, an avant-garde filmmaker. Controversies and criticism. Crowley's life and work were highly controversial, and he was often vilified by the mainstream press. His unconventional views on sex, drugs, and magic, as well as his frequent clashes with authority figures, made him a polarizing figure in both occult circles and mainstream society. The press dubbed him the wickedest man in the world for his lifestyle and his apparent rejection of conventional morality. His critics often accused him of promoting debauchery, nihilism, and self-destructive behavior, and his association with ritualistic practices and drug use fueled the perception of him as a dangerous and subversive figure. Despite these criticisms, Crowley's works continue to be influential in modern occultism, with many considering him a pioneering figure in the exploration of spirituality and personal empowerment. Crowley's influence on popular culture. Crowley's legacy extends far beyond occult circles, and his influence can be seen in various aspects of popular culture. His ideas have shaped the development of modern witchcraft, Satanism, and neo-paganism. Additionally, many rock musicians, artists, and writers have drawn inspiration from his life and work, including the Beatles. The Beatles' album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band features an image of Crowley on the cover, reflecting his influence on the counterculture movement of the 1960s. David Bowie, who often incorporated mystical themes into his music, cited Crowley as an influence. Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin's guitarist Jimmy Page, was an avid collector of Crowley's works and was heavily influenced by his ideas, particularly the use of occult symbolism in the band's albums. Conclusion. Aleister Crowley remains one of the most enigmatic and influential figures in the history of Western esotericism. His contributions to occultism, mysticism, and modern spirituality, as well as his emphasis on individual freedom and self-empowerment, continue to inspire people today. Despite his controversial reputation and the criticism he faced during his lifetime, Crowley's work has left an indelible mark on both occult practices and popular culture. Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is one of the most iconic and mysterious religious artifacts in the history of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, according to the Hebrew Bible, particularly the Book of Exodus. It was a sacred container that housed the stone tablets on which the 10 Commandments were inscribed. The Ark is traditionally believed to have been built by the Israelites under the guidance of Moses during their exodus from Egypt and subsequent journey through the desert. Biblical description and significance. In the Bible, the Ark is described as a wooden chest, overlaid with gold, with a golden lid known as the mercy seat. The Ark was considered the physical manifestation of God's presence on earth, and it played a central role in the religious practices of the Israelites. Construction. The Ark's design is described in the book of Exodus 25:10-22. It was made of acacia wood and covered in gold, measuring about 2.5 cubits, approximately 45 inches, or 115 centimeters long. 1.5 cubits, about 27 inches, or 69 centimeters wide, and 1.5 cubits high. The Ark was carried using poles inserted into rings on its sides to prevent it from being touched directly. The mercy seat. The mercy seat was a solid gold cover with 2 cherubim angelic figures facing each other, their wings spread above the Ark. It is here that God is said to have communicated directly with Moses. The Ark was kept in the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of the tabernacle, and later, the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. Contents. The Ark contained several sacred items, according to tradition. The 10 Commandments. The stone tablets were inscribed with the commandments given to Moses by God on Mount Sinai. Aaron's rod. The staff of Aaron, Moses' brother, was said to have miraculously budded, signifying Aaron's divine appointment. A jar of manna. The manna is the bread-like substance that God provided to the Israelites during their 40 years in the desert. The role of the Ark in biblical history. The ark was central to the religious life of the Israelites and was believed to have miraculous powers, often accompanying them in battle or during times of crisis. Exodus and the desert wanderings. The ark was carried by the Israelites during their journey through the desert, and it was said to guide them and protect them from harm. It was also involved in several miracles, including the crossing of the Jordan River Joshua 3:14-17 and the fall of the walls of Jericho Joshua 6:1-20. The Philistine capture. The ark was briefly captured by the Philistines during a battle 1 Samuel 4, but they returned it after experiencing a series of misfortunes, including plagues and the destruction of their idols. King David and Solomon. King David brought the ark to Jerusalem, and it was placed in a tent as a central symbol of Israel's worship to Samuel 6. Later, King Solomon built the first temple in Jerusalem and housed the ark in the Holy of Holies 1 Kings 8-6-9. The Temple of Solomon. The ark was kept in the innermost part of the temple, in a room that could only be entered by the high priest on the Day of Atonement. This sacred place was believed to be the dwelling place of God on earth. The ark's disappearance. The fate of the ark after the destruction of Solomon's temple by the Babylonians in 586 BCE remains a mystery. It is not mentioned in the Bible after this event, and there are various theories regarding what happened to it. Some believe it was hidden before the Babylonians arrived, while others think it was taken or destroyed during the siege. Theories and legends about the ark. The ark's disappearance has fueled numerous theories and legends, and its status as a lost treasure has captivated historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. Ethiopian claim. One of the most popular theories comes from Ethiopia, where the Church of St. Mary of Zion in Aksum claims to house the ark. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church has a tradition that the ark was brought to Ethiopia by Menelik, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. According to this legend, the ark has been preserved in the church ever since, though it is not shown to the public. The Temple Mount and Jerusalem. Some believe the ark was hidden beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem before the Babylonians sacked the city. Archaeological expeditions in the area have yet to find evidence of the ark's existence, but theories about secret chambers or hidden passages under the Temple Mount abound. Raiders of the Lost Ark. The 1981 film Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark popularized the idea of the ark being hidden in a secret location, specifically in a massive warehouse filled with government secrets. While the film is fictional, it reflects the enduring fascination with the mystery surrounding the ark. Masonic and occult beliefs. Various Masonic and occult groups have incorporated the ark into their beliefs, often viewing it as a symbol of divine knowledge or power. Some claim that the ark contains secret wisdom or that it is connected to a broader spiritual or cosmic mission. Power and miracles. Throughout history, the ark has been associated with miracles and divine intervention. It was believed to be a powerful and holy object that could bring blessings or destruction depending on how it was treated. For example, when the Israelites treated the ark with reverence, it was believed to lead them to victory. But when mishandled, such as by Uzzah, who was struck dead for touching it, it brought judgment. The ark and modern speculation. In modern times, the Ark of the Covenant has become a subject of speculation, mystery, and myth, inspiring everything from archaeological expeditions to popular fiction. While the Ark is primarily a religious and historical artifact, its possible existence and its supposed supernatural powers have made it a subject of ongoing fascination. Some of the more outlandish claims about the Ark include alien connection. Some conspiracy theorists suggest that the Ark might be connected to extraterrestrial technology, especially given its association with powerful forces and its mysterious abilities. The Lost Ark and Freemasonry. Some have speculated that Freemasons or other secret societies possess knowledge of the Ark's whereabouts or even have access to it. Conclusion. The Ark of the Covenant remains one of the most enduring and mysterious symbols in religious history. While its physical location is unknown, its cultural, religious, and historical significance is profound. Whether viewed as a literal object or as a powerful symbol of God's presence, the ark continues to inspire awe and curiosity, making it a subject of both reverence and speculation. Templios. TMPLEOS is a unique operating system OS developed by Terry A. Davis, an American programmer who created it over more than a decade. It is notable not only for its unusual design, but also because of the personal and religious beliefs that heavily influenced its development. Davis, who had struggled with mental health issues, specifically schizophrenia, claimed that Templios was inspired by God and was designed to be a modern-day version of the biblical Temple of Solomon. Here's a detailed overview of Templios' background and development. Creator. Templios was created by Terry A. Davis, a programmer with a deep understanding of computer science. Davis was highly talented, having worked at major companies like Ticketmaster and Verizon, but he developed schizophrenia later in life, which had a profound impact on both his personal life and his work. Inception. Davis began developing Templios in the early 2000s after leaving his job and retreating into a life of solitude. He claimed that God instructed him to build the operating system and that it was meant to be a divine tool, superior to other modern OSes. Programming language. Templios was written entirely by Davis in a programming language called Holic, which he designed himself. Holic is a SU-like language, but it was specifically tailored to work with Templios. Davis often emphasized that the OS was a temple for God, and he wrote in the documentation that it was his divine mission to create it. Key features of Templios. Point 1. Design philosophy. Templios is often described as a minimalist OS. It has an old-school, retro look reminiscent of early operating systems from the 1980s. The user interface is entirely text-based and uses 16-color graphics, which was a deliberate design choice by Davis. The OS runs in 640 by 480 resolution and does not support modern hardware features like high-definition resolutions, USB devices, or advanced graphics cards. This is because Davis believed that the simplicity and limitations of Templios were in line with his religious vision. 2. No multitasking. Unlike most modern operating systems, Templios does not support multitasking or multitasking protection. The OS is designed to run a single process at a time, with no memory protection, which was a reflection of Davis's belief in keeping the system as simple and direct as possible. 3. Religious themes. Davis infused Templios with a series of religious themes as he believed the OS was a vehicle for communicating with God. He often said that the system was designed to enable users to communicate with God directly, and it includes several religious features and elements, such as God's commands. Davis created a function in the OS called God Mode, where users could ask God questions and receive responses. Davis himself often used this feature to hold conversations with what he considered to be divine instructions. Religious art. The operating system includes many biblical references, and Davis embedded religious themes throughout the system, including references to the Old Testament and imagery tied to Solomon's temple. 4. Holic programming. As mentioned earlier, Holic is the custom programming language created by Davis. It's a low-level system programming language with a syntax similar to C, but it is specifically tailored for Templios. Users could write and run code directly from the OS's interface, and Davis's interactions with the language often had a spiritual tone. 5. No internet support. Templios does not include support for modern network protocols such as TCP/IP, meaning that it cannot connect to the internet. This decision was also based on Davis's belief that God had intended for Templios to operate in isolation from the rest of the world to maintain its purity. 6. Games and visuals. Templios includes simple games, many of which were created by Davis himself. One of the most famous is a flight simulator that uses basic 2D graphics. Davis also created a 3D game featuring flying creatures and other bizarre visuals. The game graphics are simple and often abstract, emphasizing Templios' aesthetic of minimalism. Point 7. Command line interface. The OS primarily uses a command line interface CLI, which is a stark contrast to the graphical user interfaces that dominate modern operating systems like Windows. Mac OS and Linux users interact with Templios through typed commands and simple text inputs. Religious beliefs and controversies. Templios is heavily influenced by Davis's personal religious beliefs. He believed that he was fulfilling a divine mission given to him by God and that Templios was meant to be the platform on which God would communicate with humanity. Some of his religious beliefs were unconventional and even extreme. Solomon's Temple. Davis often compared Templios to the biblical Temple of Solomon, considering it a divine, sacred space for computing and worship. Divine inspiration. Davis claimed that God spoke to him directly, guiding him throughout the process of developing Templios. This connection with God was central to his identity and his work on the operating system. Mental health. Davis's mental health struggles, particularly his schizophrenia, were a significant factor in his life and work. While some viewed his work as a product of his mental illness, Davis himself believed that schizophrenia was a form of divine inspiration. Personal conflicts. As his mental health deteriorated, Davis became increasingly reclusive, and his behavior became more erratic. He made public statements that were sometimes controversial, and his social media presence was marked by a mixture of religious fervor and paranoia. Templios and the wider tech community. Despite its religious and mental health context, Templios garnered attention within the wider tech community for its unique design and its extreme minimalism. It has been praised by some as an impressive technical achievement, demonstrating the power of a single programmer's dedication and vision. However, the system's lack of modern features and its focus on religious themes have also led to it being seen as an eccentric or even misguided project. Some elements of the programming community have recognized Davis's brilliance, particularly his ability to develop an operating system on his own. However, his beliefs and mental state have led to mixed reactions from the wider public. Legacy and impact. Cult following. Over time, Templios has developed a small but dedicated following, with enthusiasts who admire Davis's vision and the operating system's unique qualities. Many find it a curious and poignant example of personal ambition and the intersection of technology and belief. Terry A. Davis's death. Terry A. Davis passed away in 2018 after a tragic and lonely end to a remarkable life. Despite his struggles with mental health, Davis's legacy as the creator of Templios remains an influential and often discussed part of tech culture. Some consider him a tragic figure, while others see him as a visionary. Cultural significance. Templios has become somewhat of an internet meme, with users sharing videos and discussions about the operating system's quirks. It stands as both an oddity in computing history and a reminder of how technology can be intertwined with personal belief and mental health. Templios is an operating system that reflects the complex and often painful intersection of genius, mental illness, and religion. While it has limitations compared to modern operating systems, it represents a unique personal vision and a singular technological achievement by its creator, Terry A. Davis. The operating system and its creator continue to fascinate tech enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists alike, and Templios remains an iconic, if obscure, piece of computing history. Brain in a jar. The brain in a jar concept is a philosophical thought experiment and has also become a popular theme in science fiction and conspiracy theories. It typically explores ideas related to consciousness, reality, and the mind-body connection, with implications for topics such as artificial intelligence, brain manipulation, and simulated realities. Philosophical thought experiment. The idea of a brain in a jar is often used to question the nature of human experience and perception. This thought experiment explores the possibility that a person could be living in a simulated reality, where their sensory experiences are entirely controlled by an external force, such as a computer or machine. It is related to the brain in a vat thought experiment, which was popularized in philosophical discussions about epistemology, the study of knowledge. Key philosophical implications. Reality versus perception. If a person's brain were placed in a jar and connected to a computer simulating sensory input, visual, auditory, tactile, etc., how would they know whether their experiences were real or simulated? The brain in a jar might be experiencing a vivid, lifelike world, but it would have no way of proving it was not simply a computer-generated simulation. The problem of skepticism. This experiment raises doubts about the reliability of sensory perception. If we can't trust our senses to distinguish between real and simulated experiences, then how can we be sure of anything? This is a version of skepticism, a philosophical perspective that questions whether we can know anything for certain. Descartes' evil demon. The concept closely resembles René Descartes' hypothesis of an evil demon in his famous work Meditations on First Philosophy. Descartes proposed that an all-powerful demon could deceive humans into believing they are experiencing a real world, when in fact they are being controlled by an external force. Science fiction and pop culture. In science fiction, the brain in a jar concept often explores futuristic themes such as mind uploading, artificial intelligence, and the relationship between consciousness and the body. Some common themes in these stories include simulated realities. Similar to the philosophical thought experiment, many science fiction stories feature characters whose brains are placed in jars or connected to machines, experiencing artificial worlds that are indistinguishable from reality. These ideas have been explored in works like The Matrix and other cyberpunk media. Cyborgs and artificial intelligence. In some stories, the brain in a jar is part of a larger exploration of human consciousness being transferred into machines or robots. The brain remains biologically human, but its consciousness is controlled by an artificial body or intellect. Conspiracy theories and pseudoscience. In more fringe circles, the brain in a jar concept is often taken in more literal and speculative directions. Some conspiracy theories or pseudoscientific ideas revolve around the idea that humans are controlled by external forces. Some conspiracies suggest that humans are essentially brains in jars, controlled by a powerful, often malevolent force, such as the government, alien entities, or advanced artificial intelligence. These theories suggest that human consciousness is being manipulated or controlled by some external system, and people are unaware of it. Mind control experiments. Similar to the concept of a brain in a jar, some conspiracy theorists suggest that governments or organizations have experimented on people, either through direct brain manipulation or mind control technologies, which might be used for surveillance, behavior control, or even to simulate certain experiences. Virtual reality and the simulation hypothesis. Some people subscribe to the simulation hypothesis, which proposes that our entire universe may be a computer simulation controlled by higher beings, perhaps for research, entertainment, or other purposes. In these scenarios, humans are often likened to brains in jars, unaware that their experiences are artificially created. The brain-computer interface and technology. As technology has advanced, the brain in a jar concept has gained new relevance in the context of brain-computer interfaces. BC is and neurotechnology. These fields aim to develop systems that allow direct communication between the brain and external devices, such as robotic limbs, computers, or virtual environments. Potential real-world applications. Mind uploading. Scientists and futurists often talk about the possibility of uploading human consciousness into computers, creating a digital copy of a person's mind. While this idea remains speculative, it shares some parallels with the brain in a jar concept, where the brain would be preserved in a new, non-biological format. Neural prosthetics, BCs, are already being used to assist people with disabilities, helping them control robotic limbs or even communicate directly with computers using their thoughts. In the future, such technologies could evolve into systems where consciousness or sensory input is entirely mediated by external devices. Ethical and philosophical concerns. If it becomes possible to manipulate or transfer consciousness, the brain in a jar idea could raise serious ethical issues. Would a mind in a jar still be considered the same person? Would it have autonomy, or would it be controlled by external forces? What would it mean for someone's identity and freedom? Cultural influence and influence in the real world. The brain in a jar concept has had a significant impact on popular culture, particularly in how we think about technology, consciousness, and reality. Movies, books, and video games that explore virtual realities or simulated worlds often reference or incorporate variations of this theme. Some examples include The Matrix 1999, perhaps the most famous modern pop culture example, where humanity is unknowingly imprisoned in a virtual simulation, their minds connected to machines that keep them alive, with their brains effectively in jars. Altered Carbon 2002, adapted into a Netflix series in 2018. This sci-fi series deals with the transfer of human consciousness into different bodies, exploring themes of immortality, identity, and the consequences of mind-body separation. Ghost in the Shell 1995, an anime and later live-action film that explores a world where humans can upload their minds into robotic bodies, blurring the lines between human consciousness and artificial intelligence. The brain in a jar is a thought-provoking concept that raises important questions about the nature of reality, consciousness, and the mind-body connection. Whether as a philosophical thought experiment, a science fiction trope, or a fringe conspiracy theory, it continues to provoke interest and debate. In contemporary discussions, it intersects with advancements in technology, artificial intelligence, and neurobiology, making it a relevant and compelling idea that will likely continue to capture the imagination of thinkers and creators. Dinosaur denial. Dinosaur denial refers to the belief or claim that dinosaurs either never existed or that their existence is a fabrication or misconception. This is often framed as a conspiracy theory or pseudoscience, which challenges well-established scientific evidence and understanding about dinosaurs, paleontology, and the history of life on Earth. Key themes and beliefs in dinosaur denial. Rejection of fossil evidence. Proponents of dinosaur denial argue that fossil evidence of dinosaurs is either fabricated, misinterpreted, or does not prove the existence of such creatures. They may claim that fossils of large reptiles are misidentified as something else, or that their size and appearance are exaggerated. Biblical literalism and creationism. Some individuals who deny dinosaurs' existence do so from a young Earth creationist perspective. They believe that the Earth is only a few thousand years old, usually around 6,000 to 10,000 years old, according to the Bible's genealogies, and thus dinosaurs could not have existed millions of years ago as mainstream science asserts. Creationists often believe that fossils were placed in the Earth's strata to test faith, or that they were created by God as part of the creation process, but not as real, prehistoric creatures. This leads to the idea that human beings and dinosaurs coexisted, though this is contradicted by all paleontological evidence, which shows that dinosaurs went extinct about 65 million years ago, long before humans evolved. Misinterpretation of science. Dinosaur denialists may misunderstand or intentionally distort scientific data about fossils, geology, and evolutionary biology. They might suggest that dinosaur bones were part of a global hoax perpetrated by scientists, or that the study of dinosaurs is part of a larger plot to mislead the public about the age of the Earth and the history of life on it. Alternative explanations for fossils. Rather than accepting the idea that fossils belong to dinosaurs, those who deny their existence might propose alternative explanations. Some suggest that the fossils could belong to large, non-dinosaur animals, mythical creatures, or even human bones, all of which are not supported by mainstream scientific research. For example, some suggest that the fossilized remains of animals could be from ancient reptiles that are not dinosaurs, or that the evidence of dinosaur fossils is the result of ancient creatures misidentified by paleontologists. The role of social media and fringe movements. Dinosaur denial is often spread through fringe websites, videos, and social media platforms, where individuals can present alternative histories of the Earth and create echo chambers for like-minded individuals. This allows such beliefs to gain traction especially among those who distrust scientific institutions or are drawn to alternative explanations. Mainstream scientific consensus. The scientific consensus, based on extensive evidence from a variety of disciplines such as paleontology, geology, radiometric dating, and evolutionary biology, holds that
dinosaurs lived during the Mesozoic era, approximately 130 to 65 million years ago. Fossils of dinosaurs have been found on every continent, providing clear evidence of their existence. These fossils show a variety of dinosaur species, ranging from small, bird-like creatures to massive, long-necked giants like Brachiosaurus and Titanosaurus. The extinction of dinosaurs occurred about 65 million years ago, likely due to a combination of factors including a meteorite impact and volcanic activity.
consistent and independent verification. Dinosaur fossils have been studied and confirmed by scientists from various fields, including paleontologists, geologists, and chemists, all of whom agree on the existence of dinosaurs and their place in Earth's history. These findings have been peer-reviewed and cross-verified across generations of research. For evolutionary biology, dinosaurs are part of the evolutionary lineage that includes birds, which are considered their modern-day descendants. The connection between dinosaurs and birds has been supported by extensive fossil evidence, including feathered dinosaurs and similarities in skeletal structure. Connection to other conspiracy theories. Dinosaur denial is sometimes linked to other conspiracy theories, particularly those that involve alternative history, ancient civilizations, or unusual creatures. For example, some conspiracy theorists argue that dinosaurs were part of a hidden ancient civilization's technology or that they were manipulated by extraterrestrial beings. This ties into broader narratives of hidden knowledge, government cover-ups, or ancient aliens. Dinosaur denial can also be found alongside theories that challenge mainstream science, such as flat Earth theories or anti-science movements, which often reject established knowledge in favor of personal belief systems or speculative explanations. Impact of dinosaur denial. While the vast majority of people accept the scientific consensus on dinosaurs, dinosaur denial has a niche but vocal presence in certain communities, especially those influenced by religious fundamentalism or anti-science rhetoric. The movement can be damaging in the sense that it promotes skepticism of established scientific methods and findings. In some cases, it may lead to a rejection of scientific education, particularly in areas like geology, evolution, and paleontology, where the existence of dinosaurs is foundational. Conclusion. Dinosaur denial is a belief system that rejects the well-established scientific evidence for the existence of dinosaurs, often for ideological or religious reasons. It stems from a variety of factors, including creationism, misinterpretations of science, and conspiracy theories. Despite its lack of scientific validity, the idea persists in certain circles, driven by mistrust of mainstream science and a desire to promote alternative worldviews. However, the overwhelming evidence from paleontology, geology, and evolutionary biology consistently supports the understanding that dinosaurs existed millions of years ago and played a significant role in the history of life on Earth. Pentacle, pentagram. A pentacle and pentagram are symbols that have been used throughout history in various cultural, religious, and mystical contexts. Although they are often used interchangeably, they have distinct meanings and interpretations depending on the tradition or belief system. Below is an in-depth explanation of both. Pentagram. A pentagram is a 5-pointed star drawn with 5 straight lines that intersect to form a symmetrical shape. The term pentagram is derived from the Greek words pente 5 and gramma something written or drawn. It can be either an upright or inverted symbol. Symbolism. Wicca and paganism. The pentacle is especially important in Wicca and other pagan traditions. It is often used in rituals representing the 4 classical elements earth, air, fire, and water and spirit as the 5th element. The circle around the pentagram symbolizes the wholeness of the universe and the interconnectedness of all things. The pentacle is frequently worn as jewelry, especially among practitioners of modern witchcraft. Magical protection. The pentacle is often used as a symbol of protection, both physical and spiritual. It is believed that the circle surrounding the pentagram enhances its ability to protect the wearer or the space it is displayed in from negative influences, alchemy, and mysticism. The pentacle can also represent the four classical elements of alchemy: earth, air, fire, and water, along with spirit, often depicted as the point at the top of the star. The circle can represent the unity and integration of these elements, which is a key concept in many esoteric traditions, such as alchemy, hermeticism, and theurgy. The Wiccan reed. In some forms of Wicca, the pentacle is used to represent the Wiccan reed, which is a rule that states, "And it harm none, do what ye will." This ethical guideline is central to Wicca, and the pentacle is often seen as a reminder of the importance of responsible and harmonious magic. Differences between pentacle and pentagram. Pentagram. The pentagram is the five-pointed star itself, which can be either upright or inverted. It is often used in various esoteric traditions, occult practices, and modern paganism. Pentacle. The pentacle is the pentagram enclosed within a circle. The circle adds additional symbolism, representing the unity of the universe, protection, and completeness. Occult associations. Both the pentagram and pentacle are heavily associated with occult practices, including alchemy, astrology, and theurgy. These symbols are used in rituals, spells, and magical workings. They are often believed to hold metaphysical power, either for protection or to channel spiritual energy. Satanism. While the pentagram is a general symbol of the occult, the inverted pentagram is commonly associated with Satanism, particularly through the Church of Satan founded by Anton LaVey. The inverted pentagram is often seen as representing the rejection of traditional Christian values and the embracing of materialism and individualism. Occultism and magic. In occult traditions, the pentagram is frequently used in ceremonial magic, drawn on the floor or in the air to invoke or banish spirits. The use of the pentagram in rituals is believed to facilitate communication with higher or lower spiritual entities. Modern usage. Wicca. The pentacle is a widely recognized symbol in Wicca, where it is used for both protection and as a tool in rituals. It is typically displayed on altars, worn as jewelry, or drawn in the air with an Atham ritual knife. Pop culture. The pentagram and pentacle have appeared widely in pop culture, often in association with witches, magic, and the occult. While many portrayals are exaggerated or sensationalized, the symbols continue to be used as representations of mysticism or alternative spirituality. Conclusion. The pentagram and pentacle are symbols with deep historical and cultural significance. Although they are often associated with witchcraft, paganism, and the occult, their meanings can vary widely depending on the tradition. The pentagram, especially in its upright form, has been used for protection, spiritual enlightenment, and the representation of the elements. The pentacle, which incorporates the circle, adds an extra layer of symbolic meaning, often linked to completeness and unity. Despite associations with various belief systems, these symbols are not inherently negative or evil, but rather serve as powerful tools for spiritual and mystical practices across cultures. Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle, often referred to as the Devil's Triangle, is a loosely defined region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean where several ships, planes, and people have allegedly disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The area forms a triangle with points roughly at Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. While the Bermuda Triangle has become famous for its association with unexplained disappearances and paranormal phenomena, many scientists argue that these events are explainable through natural causes and human error. Historical background. The mystery of the Bermuda Triangle gained public attention in the 20th century. 1945, Flight 19. One of the most famous incidents involves Flight 19, a group of 5 U.S. Navy bombers on a training mission. They disappeared along with a rescue plane sent to find them. The pilots reported compass malfunctions before losing contact. 2. Earlier reports. Reports of strange occurrences in this region date back to Christopher Columbus's time. He recorded strange compass readings and sightings of unexplained lights while passing through the area. 3. Vincent Gaddis's contribution. The term Bermuda Triangle was coined by writer Vincent Gaddis in a 1964 article where he highlighted unexplained disappearances. This sparked widespread interest and speculation. Geographical description. Location. The Bermuda Triangle covers approximately **500,000 square miles of ocean. Boundaries. The points of the triangle are 1. Miami, Florida. 2. Bermuda and Island. 3. San Juan, Puerto Rico. While there is no official designation of this area, its boundaries are widely accepted as forming a triangle. Mysteries and claims. 1. Unexplained disappearances. Over the years, countless reports of vanished ships and aircraft have fueled the triangle's mystique. Some claim these events defy logical explanation. 2. Electronic fog. Pilots and sailors have reported sudden appearances of an electronic fog that causes navigation instruments to malfunction, leading to disorientation. 3. Supernatural theories. Claims include involvement of extraterrestrial activity, UFOs, and Atlantis. Some believe underwater crystal energies or time warps are responsible for the anomalies. 4. Paranormal influence. Stories often suggest that paranormal forces are at work, possibly linked to ancient curses or interdimensional phenomena. 5. Magnetic anomalies. The Bermuda Triangle is said to be one of the few places on Earth where magnetic compasses point true north, potentially confusing navigators. Scientific explanations. 1. Weather conditions. The Bermuda Triangle is prone to sudden storms, hurricanes, and waterspouts. These intense weather patterns can cause ships and planes to sink or crash. 2. Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream, a strong ocean current, passes through the triangle. This can quickly disperse debris and complicate search efforts. 3. Human error. The triangle is a heavily traveled region, increasing the likelihood of accidents. Many disappearances are likely due to pilot or navigator errors. 4. Methane hydrates. Underwater gas pockets, known as methane hydrates, can erupt, reducing the water's density and causing ships to sink. 5. Magnetic variations. Claims of magnetic anomalies are largely exaggerated, as modern research shows the triangle does not exhibit unusual magnetic behavior. Famous incidents. 1. Flight 1945. 5 Navy planes and a rescue plane disappeared, with no wreckage ever found. 2. USS Cyclops 1918. A U.S. Navy cargo ship vanished with 309 people on board, the largest non-combat loss in U.S. Navy history. 3. Mary Celeste 1872. Although often linked to the Bermuda Triangle, the ship was actually found near Portugal, not in the triangle. However, its mysterious abandonment adds to the lore. 4. Star Tiger and Star Ariel 19481949. 2 British South American Airways planes disappeared while crossing the area, debunking the myth's no higher disappearance rates. Studies have shown that the Bermuda Triangle does not experience more ship or aircraft losses than other heavily traveled areas of the ocean. Misreporting and fiction. Many stories surrounding the Bermuda Triangle are embellished or fabricated. For instance, several disappearances were later found to be explainable or exaggerated. Charles Berlitz's role. Author Charles Berlitz popularized the triangle's mysteries in his 1974 book, The Bermuda Triangle, but many of his claims were later debunked by researchers. Cultural impact. The Bermuda Triangle has inspired books such as The Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved by Lawrence Kush, who argues that most mysteries are due to human error and natural phenomena. Movies, TV shows, and video games that portray the triangle as a site of supernatural events or alien activity. Persistent fascination, making it a staple of conspiracy theories and popular culture. Conclusion: the Bermuda Triangle remains an enigmatic and intriguing topic. While scientific evidence suggests that natural phenomena and human error explain most, if not all, of the reported disappearances, its legend persists in the public imagination. The combination of historical events, natural hazards, and the power of storytelling has cemented the Bermuda Triangle as one of the greatest modern myths. Mandela effect. The Mandela effect refers to a phenomenon where a large group of people recall an event, fact, or detail differently from how it is recorded or documented. The term originated in 2009 when Fiona Broome, a paranormal researcher, discovered that she and many others distinctly remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, even though he was released, became South Africa's president, and died in 2013. Key characteristics of the Mandela effect. 1. Shared false memories. People recall identical but incorrect details about an event or fact. These false memories are often vivid and feel genuine. 2. Mass influence. The phenomenon usually involves a collective memory that contrasts with documented reality, not just individual misremembering. 3. Examples. Many examples exist in popular culture, history, and media, fueling debate and fascination. Popular examples. 1. Nelson Mandela. Many people believed Mandela died in the 1980s and even recall watching his funeral on TV. 2. Berenstain Bears. People remember the children's book series as the Berenstain Bears, but it is actually spelled the Berenstain Bears. Looney Tunes versus Looney Tunes. Some recall the cartoon series being spelled Looney Tunes, but the correct spelling is Looney Tunes. Luke, I am your father. In Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father," but many misquote it as Luke, "I am your father." The Monopoly Man. Many believe the Monopoly mascot has a monocle, but he does not. I also thought he had a monocle, Pikachu's tail. Some recall Pikachu from Pokemon having a black tip on his tail, but his tail is fully yellow, KitKat logo. Some remember the candy bar's logo with a hyphen KitKat, but it is written as KitKat without one. The location of New Zealand. People remember New Zealand being to the northeast of Australia, but it is actually to the southeast. Theories behind the Mandela effect. Psychological explanations. 1. False memories. Memories are not perfect recordings but reconstructions influenced by emotions, suggestions, and imagination. Shared false memories can emerge through group discussions or exposure to similar media. 2. Confabulation. When the brain fills in memory gaps with plausible information, leading to the creation of a false but convincing narrative. 3. Social reinforcement. The spread of incorrect information, for example, through the internet reinforces collective false memories. 2. Confabulation. When the brain fills in memory gaps with plausible information, leading to the creation of a false but convincing narrative. 3. Social reinforcement. The spread of incorrect information, for example, through the internet reinforces collective false memories. Cultural and media influence. Misremembered details from popular culture or media, for example, advertisements, means influence collective memory over time. Scientific perspective. Neuroscientists explain the Mandela effect using the following concepts. 1. Memory distortion. Memories degrade and change with time, leading to inaccuracies. 2. Source confusion. People mix up sources of information, such as a fictional event and a real one. 3. Priming. Exposure to suggestive cues, for example, a typo or rumor can shape how people remember events. Cultural impact. The Mandela effect has become a staple in discussions about memory, perception, and reality. It has inspired online communities, conspiracy theories, and debates about the nature of truth and existence. In popular culture, the phenomenon has appeared in movies, TV shows, and books, often tied to science fiction or paranormal themes. Conclusion. The Mandela effect demonstrates the complexity and fallibility of human memory. While most instances can be explained through psychology and neuroscience, the allure of alternate realities and parallel universes ensures its continued fascination in popular culture. Whether a glitch in the matrix or a quirk of collective memory, the Mandela effect remains a fascinating phenomenon for skeptics and believers alike. Fluoride. Fluoride is a naturally occurring mineral found in water, soil, plants, and some foods. It is commonly associated with oral health due to its ability to prevent tooth decay. However, fluoride has been a subject of debate and conspiracy theories, particularly concerning its addition to drinking water. What is fluoride? Chemical composition. Fluoride is derived from fluorine, one of the most reactive chemical elements, and is found in compounds like sodium fluoride and calcium fluoride. Sources: naturally present in groundwater, foods like tea and fish. Fluoride-enriched products like toothpaste and mouthwash. Role in oral health. Fluoride strengthens tooth enamel and makes it resistant to acid attacks from bacteria, sugars, and plaque. It also helps reverse early signs of tooth decay. Fluoridation of drinking water. 1. History. The practice began in the 1940s in the United States after studies showed a correlation between fluoride levels in water and reduced dental cavities. 2. Process. Fluoride is added to public water supplies in controlled amounts, typically 0.7 parts per million, as recommended by the U.S. Public Health Service. 3. Global reach. Water fluoridation is practiced in many countries, though the extent varies. Common in the United States, Canada, and Australia. Less common or banned in some European countries. Health benefits: tooth decay prevention. Reduces cavities by 25% in children and adults. Cost effective. Reduces the need for expensive dental treatments, especially in low-income populations. Concerns and controversies. 1. Health risks: dental fluorosis. Overexposure to fluoride during tooth development can cause white spots or streaks on teeth. A cosmetic issue that does not affect function. Skeletal fluorosis. Extremely high fluoride levels over long periods may lead to joint stiffness and bone fragility. Rare in areas with regulated fluoridation. Thyroid and neurological concerns. Some studies suggest high fluoride levels could affect thyroid function and brain development, but these findings are inconclusive. 2. Conspiracy theories. Mind control. One of the oldest conspiracy theories claims fluoride in water is used for mind control, based on unfounded beliefs that it dulls people's thinking and makes them more compliant. Industrial waste. Critics allege that fluoride is a byproduct of industrial processes, for example, aluminum manufacturing, and that its use in water is a way to cheaply dispose of waste. Health cover-up. Some believe governments and corporations suppress evidence of fluoride's harmful effects. Mass medication. Opponents argue that fluoridation is unethical because it medicates the population without individual consent. 3. Scientific debates. Most health organizations, including the World Health Organization, WHO, and the American Dental Association, ADA, endorse fluoridation as safe and effective. Detractors point to studies that highlight potential risks, often focusing on fluoride levels in areas with natural overexposure. Fluoride in food and products. Toothpaste. Fluoride levels in toothpaste are higher than in water. Overuse, for example, swallowing toothpaste can increase exposure, especially in children. Foods. Processed foods and beverages made with fluoridated water may contain fluoride. Non-fluoridated alternatives. Some people prefer fluoride-free toothpaste or drinking water filters that remove fluoride. Global policies. Support for fluoridation. Backed by dental and public health organizations as a preventive measure for tooth decay opposition. Some countries, such as Sweden, Germany, and Netherlands, avoid water fluoridation, instead relying on dental products and education to prevent cavities. Conclusion. Fluoride is scientifically recognized as an important tool in oral health, but debates around its use in drinking water persist. While most evidence supports its safety and effectiveness at regulated levels, public concerns about overexposure and ethical issues continue to fuel discussions. It remains a focal point of both public health initiatives and conspiracy theories. Mermaids. Mermaids are mythical creatures with the upper body of a human and the lower body of a fish. They have appeared in folklore, mythology, and art across cultures for centuries, symbolizing both beauty and danger. While traditionally considered fantastical, mermaids are the subject of enduring fascination, speculation, and conspiracy theories. Origins and cultural significance. 1. Ancient roots. The concept of mermaids can be traced back to ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia and Babylon, where the fish-tailed goddess and goddess Atargatis were worshipped. 2. Global variations. Europe. Mermaids often appear in Celtic, Norse, and Greek folklore. The sirens of Greek mythology, for example, are sometimes conflated with mermaids. Even in Ukrainian folklore, there are mermaids. For example, Mavka. All I know is that they look like ordinary girls, but they have all the features of mermaids. Asia. In Japan, the ninyo is a mermaid-like creature with mystical properties, often associated with longevity or curses. Africa. The Mami Wata spirits in West African traditions are associated with water, fertility, and wealth. Caribbean. Mermaids are part of local lore, often blending with African spiritual beliefs brought during the transatlantic slave trade. Symbolism in mythology, beauty, and seduction. Mermaids are often depicted as enchanting beings who lure sailors to their doom, symbolizing both desire and danger. Mystery of the ocean. They represent the unknown depths of the sea and humanity's fascination with its secrets. Dual nature. Mermaids embody duality, human and aquatic, kind and cruel, protector and predator. Real-life inspirations. 1. Animal misidentifications. Manatees and dugongs, aquatic mammals with human-like features when viewed from a distance, may have inspired mermaid legends. 2. Sailors' tales. Prolonged isolation at sea and poor visibility likely contributed to the imagination of mermaids among sailors. 3. Cultural exchange. Similar mermaid-like figures arose independently across the world, suggesting shared human intrigue with hybrid beings. Modern interpretations. Pop culture. Mermaids feature prominently in literature, movies, and art, from Hans Christian Andersen's *The Little Mermaid* to Disney's animated adaptation. Art and literature. Depictions of mermaids often explore themes of love, sacrifice, and the longing for freedom. Tourism and urban legends. Locations like Copenhagen, home of the famous mermaid statue, and folklore hotspots claim mermaid sightings to attract tourists. Conspiracy theories and belief in mermaids. 1. Historical reports. Figures like Christopher Columbus reported seeing mermaids during their voyages, fueling speculation. Point 2. Aquatic ape theory. A fringe theory suggests humans evolved from a semi-aquatic ancestor, which some interpret as evidence of a mermaid-like creature. 3. Modern sightings. Claims of mermaid sightings, often unverified, continue to emerge, especially in areas like Zimbabwe, Israel, and coastal islands. 4. Pseudoscience and hoaxes. Fake mermaid bodies and speculative documentaries. Mermaids. The body found aired on Animal Planet perpetuate the idea of mermaids as real beings. 5. Secret government knowledge. Some conspiracy theorists believe governments or organizations suppress evidence of mermaids, possibly to protect marine life or hide evolutionary truths. Scientific perspective. Lack of evidence. No credible scientific evidence supports the existence of mermaids. Explanations for sightings. Misidentifications of aquatic animals, hallucinations, or hoaxes often explain purported sightings. Cultural phenomenon. The persistence of mermaid stories reflects humanity's fascination with the unknown and the blending of imagination with reality. Cultural and psychological impact. Mermaids inspire. Artistic expression, representing beauty, mystery, and transformation. Environmental awareness, highlighting the ocean's allure and its need for preservation. Conclusion. Mermaids remain one of the most enduring symbols of humanity's curiosity about the sea and the unknown. While they are firmly rooted in mythology, their influence extends to modern culture, science fiction, and conspiracy theories. Their timeless appeal ensures they will continue to captivate imaginations for generations. Sea monsters are mythical or cryptozoological creatures said to inhabit oceans, seas, and other large bodies of water. Often depicted as massive, terrifying, and elusive, sea monsters have fascinated and frightened humans for centuries, appearing in folklore, literature, and modern conspiracy theories. Historical and cultural context. 1. Ancient civilizations. Sea monsters appear in the myths of many ancient cultures. Leviathan, a giant sea serpent from the Bible representing chaos. Tiamat, a Mesopotamian sea goddess often depicted as a monstrous creature. Scylla and Charybdis, deadly sea monsters in Greek mythology that challenged sailors like Odysseus. 2. Medieval maps. Maps from the Middle Ages and Renaissance often illustrated sea monsters in uncharted waters, symbolizing the dangers of the unknown. 3. Global folklore. Kraken, Norway, a giant squid-like creature capable of sinking ships. Nessie, Scotland. The Loch Ness monster, a legendary creature said to inhabit Loch Ness. Ogopogo, Canada, a serpentine creature believed to dwell in Okanogan Lake. Common traits of sea monsters. 1. Massive size. Many sea monsters are described as enormous, with tentacles, fins, or serpentine bodies. 2. Behavior, often portrayed as hostile, attacking ships, eating sailors, or causing storms. 3. Appearance, frequently a mix of known marine creatures, such as whales, squids, or sharks, but exaggerated or combined in fantastical ways. 4. Habitat, typically associated with deep, unexplored regions of the ocean or specific lakes and seas. Modern interpretations. 1. Cryptozoology. The study of unknown or legendary animals often includes sea monsters, like the megalodon, an extinct giant shark theorized by some to still exist. 2. Pop culture. Sea monsters feature in movies The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, literature Moby Dick, and video games. 3. Tourist attractions. Sightings of sea monsters like the Loch Ness monster have spurred tourism and local economies. Scientific explanations. 1. Misidentified animals. Giant squid. Once thought to be mythical, the giant squid Architeuthis was confirmed to exist in the late 19th century. Whale behavior. Breaching or dying whales might appear monstrous to untrained observers. Basking sharks. Decomposing basking sharks resemble long-necked sea creatures. 2. Optical illusions. Waves, floating debris, and shadows can create illusions of sea monsters. 3. Marine fossils. Fossil discoveries of large prehistoric marine reptiles, for example, mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, might have influenced sea monster legends. Conspiracy theories. 1. Hidden species. Some believe sea monsters are undiscovered species that governments or scientists hide to prevent panic or protect ecosystems. 2. Military experiments. Stories claim certain sea monsters are the result of classified military projects, such as genetically modified marine life or escaped experimental creatures. 3. Alien connection. Theorists suggest sea monsters could be extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings using oceans as a hiding place. Notable sightings and legends. 1. Kraken. First described in Nordic legends, later supported by encounters with giant squid. 2. Loch Ness monster. Sightings date back to the 6th century, with modern interest reignited by the famous but hoaxed 1934 surgeon's photograph. 3. Globsters unidentified. Decomposed masses washed ashore, for example. St. Augustine monster have fueled sea monster stories. Scientific and cultural significance. Unexplored oceans. Over 80% of the world's oceans remain unexplored, leaving room for speculation about undiscovered species. Symbolism. Sea monsters often represent humanity's fear of the unknown and respect for the power of nature. Environmental awareness. Stories about sea monsters remind us of the ocean's mystery and the need to protect marine ecosystems. Conclusion. Sea monsters are an enduring part of human imagination, blending myth, science, and speculation. While no scientific evidence supports the existence of legendary creatures like the Kraken or Nessie, the vast, unexplored depths of our oceans ensure that fascination with sea monsters will continue for generations. Giants are mythical beings of enormous size and strength that appear in myths, legends, and folklore across cultures worldwide. These creatures have captivated human imagination for centuries, representing power, fear, and sometimes even benevolence. Giants are often associated with ancient mysteries, unexplained archaeological findings, and conspiracy theories. Cultural and mythological origins. 1. Greek mythology, Titans. Predecessors of the Olympian gods, the Titans were giant deities who ruled during the Golden Age, gigantes. Warlike beings born from Gaia Earth and Uranus sky, often depicted as fighting the Olympian gods in the gigantomachy. 2. Norse mythology, Jotnar frost giants. Powerful beings who lived in Jotunheim, often at odds with the gods of Asgard. Ymir, the primordial giant whose body formed the world. 3. Biblical references, Nephilim. Described in the book of Genesis as the offspring of sons of God and daughters of men, often interpreted as giants. Goliath, the Philistine giant famously defeated by the young David. 4. Hindu mythology, Rakshasas. Giant, supernatural beings, sometimes evil and sometimes benevolent, appearing in the Ramayana and other texts. 5. Other global traditions, Celtic mythology. Features Fomorians, a race of hostile giants defeated by the Tuatha De Danann. Native American legends, stories of giant beings, such as the Sitekar in Paiute mythology. Common traits of giants. 1. Physical size. Often depicted as many times larger than humans, with massive strength and endurance. 2. Nature and personality. Giants range from benevolent protectors to destructive forces of nature. 3. Habitat. Frequently associated with remote or mythical locations such as mountains, caves, or islands. 4. Role in myths. Giants often symbolize chaos, primal forces, or challenges for heroes to overcome. Archaeological and historical interpretations. 1. Giant skeleton claims. Throughout history, people have reported finding oversized skeletons or bones attributed to giants. Many of these discoveries are later debunked as misidentified fossils, for example, mammoths or dinosaurs, or outright hoaxes. 2. Megalithic structures. Conspiracy theories suggest that ancient structures like Stonehenge, the pyramids, or the walls of Sacsayhuaman in Peru were built by giants due to their massive size and engineering complexity. 3. Ethnographic accounts. Explorers and travelers in the past reported encountering giants, often based on exaggerated stories or unfamiliar cultures. Modern conspiracy theories. 1. Suppressed evidence. Some theorists believe governments, museums, or religious organizations suppress evidence of giant skeletons to protect mainstream historical narratives. Point 2. Biblical literalism. Supporters of the Nephilim theory argue that giants prove the literal truth of biblical accounts. 3. Ancient aliens. Claims suggest giants were extraterrestrial beings or hybrid offspring, tying them to the ancient astronaut hypothesis. 4. Smithsonian allegations. A persistent theory alleges the Smithsonian Institution destroyed evidence of giant skeletons in the 19th century to maintain the accepted view of human evolution. Scientific perspective. 1. Explanations for giant myths. Fossil finds. Early humans may have discovered dinosaur or megafauna bones and interpreted them as evidence of giants. Tall human populations. Encounters with unusually tall individuals or groups may have inspired giant legends. Natural phenomena. Massive rock formations and other geological features could have been attributed to the work of giants. 2. Gigantism. A medical condition. Gigantism causes excessive growth due to overproduction of growth hormones, possibly inspiring giant legends. Giants in popular culture. 1. Literature and art. Giants feature prominently in works like Jack and the Beanstalk and Gulliver's Travels, movies, and television. Depictions range from fantasy epics like The Lord of the Rings to modern adaptations like Attack on Titan. 3. Gaming. Giants are a staple in video games, representing powerful foes or allies. Symbolism of giants. 1. Power and dominance. Giants symbolize overwhelming forces, both natural and supernatural. Point 2. Human fears and aspirations. They reflect humanity's fears of the unknown and our fascination with beings beyond our scale. The Philosopher's Stone is a legendary alchemical substance believed to have the power to transform base metals like lead into gold and grant immortality through the creation of the elixir of life. It has been a central symbol in alchemy, representing both material and spiritual transformation. Historical origins. 1. Alchemy in antiquity. Alchemy, a precursor to modern chemistry, emerged in ancient Egypt, India, and China. Early texts reference substances capable of perfecting metals or prolonging life. 2. Islamic Golden Age. Alchemical texts from scholars like Jabir ibn Hayyan Gabr described processes aimed at purify materials to achieve the great work magnum opus, which often centered on the Philosopher's Stone. 3. Medieval Europe. With translations of Islamic works into Latin, the Philosopher's Stone became a major focus for European alchemists like Albertus Magnus and Roger Bacon. Nicolas Flamel, a 14th century French scribe, became famously associated with the stone through later legends, though historical evidence is sparse. Symbolism of the Philosopher's Stone. 1. Material transformation. Represents the ultimate goal of alchemy, turning base metals into gold, symbolizing perfection and purity. Point 2. Spiritual enlightenment. The stone also symbolized personal transformation, with alchemists viewing their work as a metaphor for purifying the soul and achieving enlightenment. 3. The magnum opus. The process of creating the stone involved multiple stages: nigredo, albedo, citronidas, rubedo, mirroring the alchemist's inner journey. Key properties and goals. 1. Transmutation. Turning base metals into noble metals like gold or silver. 2. Elixir of life. A liquid derived from the stone said to cure all diseases and grant eternal youth or immortality. 3. Philosophical ideals. Achieving unity between the physical and spiritual worlds, reflecting balance and harmony. Alchemical practices. 1. Prime materials. Alchemists believed certain base substances like mercury, sulfur, and salt were essential to creating the stone. 2. Processes. The creation of the stone was said to involve calcination, dissolution, coagulation, and sublimation, chemical processes reinterpreted as spiritual metaphors. 3. Secrecy. Due to persecution and the esoteric nature of alchemy, descriptions of the stone were often encoded in allegories and symbols. Impact on science and culture. 1. Development of chemistry. While the Philosopher's Stone was never found, alchemy contributed to the development of early experimental techniques and laboratory tools. 2. Philosophical influence. The concept influenced Western mysticism, Hermeticism, and later occult traditions. 3. Popular culture. Stories about the stone have appeared in works like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and Full Metal Alchemist. Modern interpretations. 1. Metaphor for growth. The stone is often seen as a symbol of self-improvement, spiritual awakening, and the pursuit of higher knowledge. 2. Psychological framework. Psychologists like Carl Jung interpreted the alchemical journey, including the Philosopher's Stone, as a metaphor for individuation and the integration of the self. 3. Scientific parallels. efforts to transmute elements are now part of nuclear physics, though the philosopher's stone as envisioned by alchemists remains a myth. Conclusion: the philosopher's stone embodies humanity's quest for perfection, immortality, and ultimate truth. While its physical existence is unlikely, its enduring legacy in science, spirituality, and culture reflects the universal desire to transcend limitations and achieve greatness. Greys, also known as gray aliens, are one of the most commonly referenced extraterrestrial beings in UFO lore and conspiracy theories. They are described as humanoid creatures with slender bodies, large heads, and distinctive grayish skin, hence their name. Greys are central figures in modern alien abduction stories and speculative extraterrestrial theories. Physical characteristics: 1. Size and build. Typically described as being 3 to 4 feet tall, though some accounts describe taller variants. Thin, spindly limbs with a disproportionately large head. 2. Facial features: oversized, almond-shaped black eyes. Small or non-existent nose, mouth, and ears. 3. Skin: smooth gray or occasionally pale white. 4. Clothing: often depicted wearing tight-fitting suits or appearing naked, suggesting their bodies may have no reproductive organs or other features. Cultural origins: 1. Early mentions. The idea of alien beings with large heads and small bodies appears sporadically in 19th century science fiction. H.G. Wells' The Man of the Year Million 1893 envisioned future humans evolving into frail, large-brained beings resembling greys. 2. UFO phenomenon. The modern depiction of greys gained traction in the 20th century, especially after the Roswell incident in 1947 and increasing reports of UFO sightings. 3. Abduction narratives. Greys became iconic after the widely publicized Betty and Barney Hill abduction case 1961, where the couple described beings with gray skin and large eyes. Role in alien lore: 1. Abductions. Greys are frequently reported as the primary perpetrators in alien abduction stories. Abductees describe medical experiments, telepathic communication, and genetic manipulation. 2. Extraterrestrial hierarchies. Some conspiracy theories suggest that greys are subservient to other alien species, such as reptilians or Nordics. Others propose that greys are an advanced, dying race attempting to save themselves by experimenting with human DNA. 3. Zeta Reticuli connection. Many theories claim that greys originate from the Zeta Reticuli star system, about 39 light-years away. This association stems from abduction narratives where abductees claimed knowledge of their home system. Common theories: 1. Advanced biological robots. Some suggest greys are not biological beings, but rather genetically engineered or robotic entities created to perform tasks. 2. Evolutionary future of humans. A popular theory posits that greys represent a potential future state of humanity, having evolved large brains and lost physical robustness. 3. Psychological manifestation. Skeptics argue that reports of greys result from sleep paralysis, cultural conditioning, or collective archetypes. Conspiracies involving greys. 1. Government collusion. The Majestic 12 conspiracy alleges that the U.S. government made secret agreements with greys, exchanging technology for access to human subjects. 2. Area 51. The secretive nature of Area 51 has fueled speculation that the site houses live greys were their spacecraft. 3. Hybridization program. Some abductees report experiments where greys harvest reproductive material to create human-alien hybrids. Cultural impact. 1. Media representations. Movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind 1977 and The X-Files popularized the image of greys as the archetype of extraterrestrials. Greys also appear in humorous contexts, like the animated series American Dad. 2. Symbolism. Represent both the promise of advanced knowledge and the fear of losing individuality or being exploited. 3. New Age beliefs. Some New Age proponents view greys as spiritual guides or entities warning humanity about environmental and social destruction. Scientific skepticism. 1. Cultural influence. Psychologists argue that popular media shapes abduction narratives, creating a consistent image of greys. 2. Biological improbability. Scientists question the feasibility of humanoid forms evolving on distant planets, emphasizing the diverse possibilities of extraterrestrial life. 3. Lack of evidence. No concrete proof exists of greys, despite numerous reports and alleged encounters. Conclusion. Greys remain a captivating element of modern UFO and alien lore, embodying humanity's hopes, fears, and curiosity about extraterrestrial life. Whether real beings, psychological phenomena, or products of cultural imagination, they continue to fuel debate and inspire countless stories and theories. The conspiracy theory that the CIA killed President John F. Kennedy suggests that the Central Intelligence Agency played a role in his assassination on November 22, 1963. In Dallas, Texas, while the official explanation from the Warren Commission concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, numerous theories have implicated the CIA due to alleged motives, circumstantial evidence, and conflicting narratives. Key elements of the theory. 1. Motive. Kennedy's actions and policies reportedly angered certain factions within the CIA. These include his perceived lack of support during the Bay of Pigs invasion 1961, which was a failed CIA operation to overthrow Fidel Castro. His interest in reducing Cold War tensions and back-channel communications with the Soviet Union and Cuba. His decision to limit U.S. involvement in Vietnam, opposing the CIA's more aggressive stance. Critics argue that inconsistencies in the investigation and secrecy surrounding CIA activities indicate a possible cover-up. Documents related to the assassination remain classified or heavily redacted, fueling suspicion. Evidence cited by supporters. 1. Oswald's connections. Oswald's alleged trip to Mexico City in September 1963, where he reportedly visited the Soviet and Cuban embassies, has led to speculation about CIA surveillance and possible manipulation. Some theorists suggest Oswald may have been a CIA asset or scapegoat patsy. 2. Discrepancies in the Warren Report. The single bullet theory, which posits that one bullet caused multiple wounds in both Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally, has been widely criticized as implausible. 3. Testimonies and leaks. Former CIA officials, such as E. Howard Hunt, allegedly hinted at CIA involvement. Hunt's deathbed confession, reported by his son, implicated CIA operatives in a conspiracy. Witnesses like Frank Sturgis, involved in covert CIA operations, have also been linked to the case. For Operation Mockingbird, critics argue the CIA's control over media narratives through this operation may have been used to suppress or discredit alternative theories. Key figures implicated. 1. Allen Dulles. Former CIA director, dismissed by Kennedy after the Bay of Pigs failure, is often mentioned due to his role on the Warren Commission, creating a potential conflict of interest. 2. James Angleton, head of CIA counterintelligence, suspected of withholding information about Oswald. 3. David Morales, a CIA operative with alleged ties to anti-Castro Cuban exiles and violent operations. Counterarguments. 1. No concrete evidence. Despite decades of investigation, no definitive proof directly ties the CIA to the assassination. Many claims rely on hearsay or unverified sources. Point 2. Oswald's actions. The official investigation concluded that Oswald had the motive, means, and opportunity to act alone, supported by ballistic and eyewitness evidence. 3. Complexity of a conspiracy. Critics argue that such a large-scale conspiracy involving the CIA would have been impossible to keep secret for so long. Declassified documents. 1. JFK Assassination Records Act. Thousands of documents related to the assassination have been declassified since the 1990s, with more released in recent years. While no smoking gun has emerged, some documents reveal CIA surveillance of Oswald and covert operations during the Cold War. Related conspiracy theories. 1. Mafia involvement. The CIA's alleged collusion with the Mafia to assassinate Castro has led some to theorize that the Mafia and CIA collaborated to kill Kennedy. 2. Military-industrial complex. Kennedy's efforts to reduce U.S. involvement in Vietnam may have threatened defense contractors and intelligence agencies, motivating a coordinated effort to remove him. 3. Anti-Castro Cubans. The failure of the Bay of Pigs invasion enraged Cuban exiles, who may have collaborated with rogue CIA elements. Cultural and historical impact. 1. Public distrust. The theory has contributed significantly to public skepticism of government institutions. Polls consistently show a majority of Americans believe in a conspiracy rather than the lone gunman theory. 2. Media and pop culture. Films like JFK 1991 by Oliver Stone have popularized theories implicating the CIA. Books and documentaries continue to explore possible CIA involvement. Conclusion. The theory that the CIA killed JFK remains one of the most enduring conspiracy theories in modern history. While no definitive proof has been uncovered, circumstantial evidence and lingering questions ensure it continues to captivate researchers, historians, and the public. Its prominence reflects broader anxieties about governmental secrecy, power, and accountability. Corporate lobbying refers to the practice of companies and industries influencing government policy, legislation, and regulations to serve their business interests. While lobbying is a legal and established part of democratic processes, its intersection with corporate power has raised concerns about ethics, transparency, and the prioritization of corporate interests over public welfare. How corporate lobbying works. 1. Lobbyists. Corporations hire professional lobbyists or lobbying firms, often composed of former politicians, lawyers, or experts, to advocate for their positions. These lobbyists meet with lawmakers, government officials, and regulatory agencies to present data, propose policy changes, or negotiate favorable terms. 2. Campaign contributions. Companies provide financial support to political campaigns or political action committees (PACs), often aligning with candidates who share their business interests. 3. Grassroots efforts. Some corporations fund grassroots campaigns to create the appearance of public support for their causes, a practice known as astroturfing. 4. Think tanks and research. Companies may fund think tanks or research institutions to produce studies that support their positions, influencing public opinion and policymaking. Examples of corporate lobbying. 1. Pharmaceutical industry. Lobbying by pharmaceutical companies has influenced drug pricing, patent laws, and approval processes. Example: efforts to delay generic drug production to protect profits. 2. Tech companies. Major tech firms like Google, Amazon, and Facebook lobby on issues like data privacy, taxation, and antitrust regulations. 3. Oil and gas industry. Fossil fuel companies lobby against climate change regulations, renewable energy incentives, and carbon taxes. 4. Healthcare and insurance. Health insurers lobby on healthcare reform to protect their profit margins and influence the structure of government programs like Medicare. 5. Defense contractors. Companies in the defense sector lobby for increased military spending and favorable arms contracts. Key issues and concerns. 1. Undue influence. Critics argue that corporate lobbying allows large companies to disproportionately shape policy, sidelining public interest. 2. Revolving door. The practice of government officials taking jobs in the private sector after leaving office and vice versa creates conflicts of interest. 3. Opaque practices. While lobbying disclosures are required in many countries, the full extent of corporate influence is often hidden, especially through indirect channels like think tanks or campaign donations. 4. Policy bias. Corporate lobbying may result in legislation that favors businesses at the expense of consumer protections, environmental safeguards, or small competitors. Regulation of lobbying. 1. United States. The Lobbying Disclosure Act 1995 requires lobbyists to register and report their activities. Super PACs and dark money groups, however, often operate outside traditional lobbying regulations. 2. European Union. EU has a transparency register to track lobbying activities, though compliance is voluntary. 3. Challenges. Enforcement of lobbying laws is often weak, and loopholes allow significant influence to go untracked. Corporate lobbying and conspiracy theories. Corporate lobbying is frequently cited in conspiracy theories, particularly in contexts where policy decisions appear to contradict public interest. Common claims include climate change denial. Fossil fuel companies are accused of funding misinformation campaigns to delay environmental action. Big Pharma. Allegations that pharmaceutical lobbying prevents the approval of cheaper treatments or cures. Military-industrial complex. Defense contractors lobbying for war or conflict escalation to secure government contracts. Impact of corporate lobbying. 1. Positive outcomes. Can lead to the passage of necessary regulations, technological advancements, and economic growth. Example, lobbying for infrastructure improvements or innovation incentives. 2. Negative consequences. May exacerbate inequality by prioritizing corporate profits over public needs. Contributes to political cynicism and reduced trust in governments. Public response and reform efforts. 1. Transparency campaigns. Activists push for stricter disclosure laws and bans on campaign contributions from corporations. 2. Grassroots movements. Efforts like Move to Amend in the U.S. advocate for ending corporate personhood and limiting money in politics. 3. Corporate social responsibility (CSR). Companies may adopt voluntary ethical standards to balance profit motives with societal impact. Conclusion: corporate lobbying remains a contentious issue, highlighting the balance between business interests and public accountability. While it can drive innovation and policy progress, unchecked corporate influence risks undermining democratic processes and prioritizing profit over societal well-being. High fructose corn syrup (HFCS) is a sweetener derived from corn that is commonly used in processed foods and beverages. It is made by converting some of the glucose in corn syrup into fructose, which makes it sweeter than regular corn syrup. HFCS has become a major component of the American diet, especially in sugary drinks, snacks, and packaged foods. However, its widespread use has sparked significant debate due to potential health concerns. How high fructose corn syrup is made. 1. Cornstarch conversion. HFCS starts with cornstarch, which is treated with enzymes to break it down into glucose. Some of the glucose is then converted into fructose using another enzyme, resulting in a mixture of glucose and fructose in varying proportions. 2. Different forms. The two most common forms of HFCS are HFCS 55, typically found in soft drinks and contains 55% fructose and 42% glucose, and HFCS 42, typically used in foods and contains 42% fructose and 53% glucose. Both forms are chemically similar, but are used for different types of products depending on their sweetness level. Uses of high fructose corn syrup. 1. Beverages. HFCS is a common sweetener in sodas, fruit juices, and energy drinks. 2. Processed foods. It is widely used in packaged snacks, baked goods, sauces, salad dressings, and canned fruits. Point 3. Cost-effective. It is cheaper to produce than other sweeteners like sucrose table sugar, especially in the United States, due to corn subsidies. Health concerns and controversies. 1. Obesity. Many studies have linked the increased consumption of HFCS to rising obesity rates, particularly in Western countries. Because HFCS is often found in calorie-dense, nutrient-poor foods, its consumption can lead to excessive calorie intake and weight gain. The body metabolizes fructose differently from glucose. While glucose can be used for energy, fructose is primarily processed by the liver, where it can be converted into fat. 2. Metabolic disorders. High fructose intake has been associated with increased risks of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and EFLD. Some research suggests that excessive fructose consumption can cause an increase in visceral fat, which is linked to cardiovascular disease and metabolic syndrome. Public perception and misinformation. 1. Sugar versus HFCS. A common misconception is that HFCS is inherently worse than regular sucrose table sugar. In reality, both sugars are similar in terms of their chemical composition. Both contain glucose and fructose, but the overconsumption of either can lead to health problems. While HFCS is processed differently in the body, many experts argue that the overall consumption of sugar, whether from HFCS or table sugar, is the primary concern. 2. Natural claims. Some marketing campaigns have sought to portray HFCS as a natural product, claiming it is made from corn and has no greater impact on health than table sugar. However, this has not fully addressed concerns about its role in health issues like obesity and diabetes. Debate over HFCS and sugar. 1. Research support. Some studies have shown that the effects of HFCS on the body are not significantly different from those of table sugar, leading some experts to argue that the real issue lies in overall calorie consumption and a lack of proper nutrition, rather than HFCS specifically. 2. Proponents of HFCS. The corn industry, which supports the production of HFCS, defends it as a safe and cost-effective sweetener that allows for cheaper food production. They often point to research showing no direct causal relationship between HFCS and obesity or other health conditions. 3. Opponents. Public health advocates and some researchers argue that HFCS is a key factor in the obesity epidemic and other chronic health issues due to its high fructose content and the increased intake of sugary processed foods in modern diets. Regulation and usage around the world. 1. United States. Due to the abundance of corn and government subsidies, HFCS is heavily used in American food products. However, there is ongoing debate about whether to reduce its use in favor of other sweeteners. 2. Other countries. In many European countries and elsewhere, the use of HFCS is limited due to both consumer preferences for natural ingredients and concerns over its health impact. Some countries have even imposed taxes on sugary beverages, which often contain HFCS to reduce consumption and combat obesity. Alternatives to high fructose corn syrup. 1. Sucrose table sugar. Consists of equal parts glucose and fructose. While similar in composition, it's often less processed and might be perceived as a more natural option. 2. Honey, a natural sweetener, but still contains a mix of fructose and glucose. It is less processed than HFCS and may offer some antioxidants, but still poses similar risks when consumed in excess. 3. Agave syrup, derived from the agave plant and contains a high percentage of fructose, though it's often marketed as a healthier alternative. It still poses similar risks for metabolic issues if overconsumed. Point 4. Stevia and monk fruit. Natural sweeteners that are considered healthier alternatives as they do not contribute to blood sugar spikes and are lower in calories. Conclusion. High fructose corn syrup is a widely used sweetener in the modern food industry, but its potential health risks have generated significant concern. While it is not inherently more harmful than other forms of sugar, its ubiquitous presence in processed foods, combined with the health issues associated with excessive sugar consumption, has made it a focal point of public health debates. To reduce health risks, it is important for individuals to be mindful of their overall sugar intake and choose whole, minimally processed foods whenever possible. Okay guys, second part for second level is coming soon.